Good evening, lads. How are we?
Good. Josh?
Good. How are you, Rusty?
Hey, look at you go.
I'm learning.
You learnt about putting names into the beginning of podcasts. Well done. Well done. I am good, Josh. How has your couple of weeks been?
Busy.
Yeah, it has
Very
been.
busy.
Christmas, New Year's, all that sort of gear has been wrapped up recently.
It's good. It's good. They're finished now. They're done.
They're finished.
Done
They're
and dusted.
done. We have a special guest with us tonight.
We do.
Yeah.
But I'm sure people would have seen him. He's kind of visible in the shot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Learning about framing shots. Josh, would you like to introduce our guest sitting? You sit next to him a couple of days a week.
I would. This is Rahul. Rahul works with us. It's actually quite a good story how Rahul got to work with us, but I'm sure we'll cover that soon.
We'll get into that, yeah.
Rahul is one of the editors here, does a bit of everything. He's been responsible for a whole heap of our content that we've put out recently.
How do you feel about that, Rahul?
I love it. I honestly love it. And we put out the most wackiest piece of content sometimes, and I love being a part of it.
Well, speaking of which, you've just edited one of the hero videos for one of the clients, and that's the first time you've done one of the big ones. How's that made you feel?
To be honest, this is the best hero video I could have I've had. Like, it's the first one. It's a lot of memes. Could not have asked for
into the microphone.
Into the microphone.
There you go. That's it.
Cool. Yeah. No. As the first piece of content to be a hero content for me, could not have asked for something better.
Yeah. Right.
It is literally all of you throwing like Nerf guns at Nerf darts at each other, and like just having a full on battle. So,
it is. It is.
It was good fun, that one.
Very good. Well, I can't wait any longer. It's time to bring out the agenda.
It is. I'm surprised we made it this long. I think this is the longest we've got in without gin.
I think you're right. But we had a guest to introduce, so we do that. Now, tonight's gin, I thought might bring up a quick topic of conversation, but this is from Old Youngs, the Juniper Society. We're part of the Juniper Society, and we'll talk about what that is in a moment. But this is a gin that has a monkey on the bottle.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
With Sakura Gin, House of the Rising Plum, if you like that. That's good. And then we have some local Mischief Brew tonic. So I'll pass you your tonic. Oh, that was very loud.
That was very good.
That was very loud. Let's throw that with the glass.
Oh, all the slides.
And there you go. So help yourself in with local tonic brewery. Is that the brewery? Yeah, they do brew tonic water. So the reason I talk about this particular gin, we said we're members of the Juniper Society. And so that is this particular brand, Old Youngs. Their club, their subscription club. And unlike some subscriptions for gin, which we have multiple, who send us a different bottle from different gin distilleries, or send us different ones of their gin, these guys actually make an entire batch of gin. Is that the word, batch?
I reckon it would be.
Let's go with batch of gin.
Sounds right.
For their subscribers.
Yeah.
And it's only available on their subscription. You can't go to them and buy this. You have to subscribe to be able to get it. You've got that level of exclusivity, and every time it comes out with a new label. The bottles are the same, and the label sort of follows the same theme, but they do this full write-up on it, and it's a pretty amazing sort of setup. We actually now get 2 bottles of each one because they have been so reliable. But the problem is you fall in love with one and you're like... I was going
to say, that is sort of the one downside to that is you get one and you're like, oh, wow, that was amazing. And you're like, I can't get this anymore. It's gone.
Sometimes you can actually jump on and buy like an extra couple of bottles of the latest one, but you've got to do that pretty quick because they make the amount to the amount of subs they have.
Right.
Yeah.
So do they notify you we're going to release a new batch for our subscribers in a month or so?
First of the month, generally you charge on the credit card, and there's a tracking number on the email, and it's on its way. So it's a surprise. It's exciting, but I love that level of a premium level of exclusiveness. Like this is the only way you can do it. It's really smart marketing, I think. That subscription model where you'll get something that no one else can get access to.
Sort of jumping on that, the whole FOMO thing of that fear of missing out is someone has it and you're like, oh, but I want to get that one. It's like, well, you got to sign up and you'll get the next month's one.
Yeah, it's good. And Prohibition do this a little bit. We're big fans of Prohibition. They do it a touch, but they don't necessarily they do small tweaks and stuff, but then they almost always make it available for the public sale. These guys, there's no other way to get these. So.
Yeah.
Where are they based off?
WA. These guys do WA, Perth. When I went there last year now, I get to say that. When I went there last year, I went there and signed up. So.
Notice there is a whole stack of Australian distilleries popping up.
Oh, yeah.
Just across the place. It's ridiculous.
Everywhere. Anyway,
Also might be the follow gin a lot more now.
yeah, you're paying a lot more attention to it. I think that's
Yeah.
probably it because there was a lot popping up all the time. How is your gin, gentlemen?
It is delicious.
It is very
That's
delicious.
actually a good combination.
I've had this one before.
Yeah.
With this combination. And
Oh, really?
Yep,
With this combo?
I have. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Nailed it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a different tonic water or what, but
It is.
generally tonic waters are very like sour and bitter at least.
Oh, okay.
This
Yeah.
is right. It's in the
This
sweet
has-
spot.
What
Great.
tonic waters have you been drinking?
This
don't
one
know,
has,
man.
This one has grapefruit. I got told today tonic waters glow under a black light. Anyway, that's just something I got told today.
Interesting.
One way
I'm
to
not-
find out.
Yeah, get a black light. Just we don't have one, I don't think. So
No.
we'll get one. Put that on.
Give
on
me
there.
1 second.
Amazon, please.
Very good. Now we need to get into a little bit about your history. That's why we do some of this. Where you came from and where your interest in video came from, or creating, and that sort of. Tell us a little bit of background up until the point we actually met a bit over a year ago.
Yeah, yeah. And it's tricky to like curate this to the audience as well, I guess, in a way. So if this video production and video editing kind of space, I had nothing to do with it for the last 25 years. I'm 28 now. For 25 years, I had nothing to do with it.
No,
to be
nothing at all. Did you grow up with a camera at all? Did you take
No.
photos? Did you? No.
Oh no, none of those like romantic cinematographer stories that I had
Yeah.
like an old camera. My dad passed it. None of that.
None of that.
So I'm from India. I was born in Delhi, and I had a very standard Indian kind of upbringing for most of it. So yeah, so no cameras. It was all just I'm gonna grow up to be either a scientist. My mom really wanted a doctor in the house.
Yep.
I was the only kid to put a little bit of pressure.
Okay.
But yeah, so I did sciences. I came here back in 2012. So I studied. I did a bachelor's degree in sciences.
Yep.
Finished it, but I soon realized it's not me. It's never been me. It was just something I was doing for my parents, and I just didn't want.
They were paying the bills, so you kind of had to.
Pretty much, yeah. Literally, like I was surviving off of them. And that was still the first for the bachelor's degree, and then I did masters to kind of stick around over here because
Just to make sure you really didn't like it.
Sometimes you got to push yourself over the edge. Apparently.
I got the degree, and I'm not sure I like it, but I want to make sure I don't like it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I'm smart or not. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
Before I, like-
turns out you're smart.
yeah, but like
That makes me feel really dumb for doing nothing.
You and me both, Josh. You and me both.
honestly, like I know nothing about what I studied. I did a few exams, and I worked in a bank after that.
Okay.
And then that's when I really realized I do not want to be doing this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because you see a bunch of other people who've been working there for 30 years hating their life. And
Well, I think that's a lot of, to bring it back to a lot of our audience who, a lot of guys who are into running their own business and stuff often have that same similar story where they're doing something and they're just hating what they're doing and they want to have more freedom. So I think people can relate to that. They may take different directions, but they can relate to that. And many people don't enjoy what they do.
yeah, and it's, I think it's also following your passion, but also having a level of control. I guess when you get to a system, you follow a system from all the way from high school all the way until you're like retired. You don't really have any kind of impact on the output. You're just a small cog in the whole system.
Yep.
So I finished. I worked in a bank for a little bit, and that was around the time COVID and everything hit. And I was working from home a lot.
Yep.
So there was a lot of free time available after work.
Yep.
Put that qualifier in after work.
After work, not during. Like I did not go to Hondorf to record vlogs or anything.
No, not during work.
I totally believe you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
100%.
man. I did move the mouse a little.
Yeah, put the mouse on the Roomba. Yeah, good.
Should have invested in a Roomba.
There you go.
Yeah, no, and I think this is around the time I started like exploring a little bit about storytelling, videography, cinematography, and I guess one of the biggest influence was Casey. And I know you guys will beat me to death about having a skateboard, which is right off of him.
Casey Neistat is who we're talking about, and the godfather of YouTube vlogs. I think he's often referred to.
Yeah. He randomly popped up on my YouTube channel. Like until then, it was all just like tech videos from MKBHD perhaps, or just old school. I don't know if you guys know Ryan Niga. He used to be like a very big YouTuber. He used to just do skits.
I know the name, but I couldn't pick who that was. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. He had like about 10 million before he kind of stopped making 10 million subscribers. That is before he stopped.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah,
Yeah. He just kind of like
Was that in the forgotten channel? Yeah. Okay.
yeah, the other channel.
one of the Impact Dynamic channels we had to close down.
One of them.
Yeah, so I found Casey's videos, and there was something that was just very like appealing to me. It wasn't just like, because if you look at Casey's videos, it's not a cinematic story. It's not a cinematic sequence. It's about conveying a point, but in the most interesting way possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And he does it in a structure which he has in his head, which comes out really well. And I thought that was very appealing to me. And that kind of kicked me on to, I guess, the other people we all love and follow: Peter McKinnon, Matty Apoya, Jesse Driftwood. There's so many of them to follow from there. And when you subscribe to these people, you realize one thing, that, okay, you're kind of learning from the best in the business.
yes.
And it's kind of like education in a way. I was enjoying education for the first time.
Yeah, it's a big contrast to the world you grew up in, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was,
Okay.
and that was enough a sign for me to be like, okay, this is what I enjoy doing. This is a means of expression. It's a means of, I can make this into a job somehow.
Yep.
And all I have to do is be really good at something. And I just put the time in.
So tell us about like first picking up a camera. Do you remember that? Yeah.
Clearly.
Okay.
Very
Interesting.
clearly. And it's not
Not
a
clearly.
camera that you guys might think it was. It was a GoPro.
Yep.
It was just like a DJI Action.
Mhm.
I got it for $199 because it was like 80% off for some reason from JB
Because they're
Hi-Fi.
about to launch a new one. That's
Yep.
why it was
Yeah.
so cheap.
Yeah, the best time to get them.
Exactly right. Like I think we all have the new DJI Action because of that same deal, right?
Well, I think it's the old one now, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's new in my head.
It's new to us. Yeah.
So I picked that up without any thought and like knowledge about what like anything in camera terms is. I didn't know what aperture was. I don't know what f-stop was. Any of that. I just picked
why
it up.
Run a GoPro. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I gotta get
Makes life easy.
Yeah.
yeah, stabilized all the way.
Yeah. Right. And what do you remember what you filmed first? Or?
Hahndorf. We went on
when you were at work.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep,
Went
the Hahndorf.
after work.
So you went up to Hahndorf after work?
It was a public holiday. What are you talking about?
Of course it was. And you just put on your best Casey.
I admire Casey's, and I don't want this to become like a whole. Like, well, this is a true dedication to Casey Neistat, and here are my tattoos. No, but like
Do more. Anyway, carry on.
Casey's videos are appealing because he's so confident about making the video.
Yes.
You know, like he has something to tell, and he does not care about anything that's happening in the background. Whereas I'm an introverted, like quiet fellow. Like I don't really do things like that in public. But it was a nice way to like push yourself out of the
Yep.
box.
Yep.
With having the focus of the product is the goal, or the story is the goal.
Yep.
And I try to practice that
Yeah.
for like a year and a half now, and it's better.
Yep.
But that's what initially it was just like pointing it at other people, and then slowly the camera
Turning
changed.
it around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So at what point during this did you apply for a job with us? Because that's how we all met.
Yes.
So you've made a short video in Hahndorf.
Yes.
And how much time did you give it to then applying for jobs?
Okay.
Is this where you say a week?
Well, that was the first video, and that's what I submitted to you guys.
Just went, yes, this is it.
Yeah.
No, I think there was at least 8 to 10 months of like time though before I even like considered it as a profession.
Potential to
Yeah.
Anything in that area. It's just it took me about a year to realize I love doing this to a point that I want to make this my life.
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess where it comes to you both, I think it was a time I was getting tired of my job, and I was like, okay, I need to start thinking of alternatives. And what if I took that step?
Yep.
You know, what if I dedicated it to just following my passion and giving video editing? I don't know what to call it back then. I was like, okay, well, anything in this space.
Yeah.
You tell me to set up a camera,
Something creative.
something creative.
Yeah.
I saw your ad come up on Seek, and it was a video editor description from
Media assistant, I believe, was the term we used.
Yeah.
Because
I don't even remember that one.
It was a bit. We wanted it a little bit vague, but broad because we didn't know what we were trying to hire, And we were like, it was for us, this is the flip side now, is we had, this is the first time we'd advertised on Seek. It was the first time we were like, because everything else we'd done within the industry we're in, we just knew people and put stuff up on our socials. So we actually advertised and we didn't quite know what we wanted. We also had no idea what was out there, right? We didn't understand, the people that are out there, the types of people. And so we thought if we write it somewhat vague, we also didn't know like how much we could take on board. We didn't know whether we could get someone a couple of days a week or like we had to get someone full-time or something. We end up with 2 people at 2 days a week each. Yeah, so we kind of threw it out there very, very open, and it's probably why you sort of, it was a bit vague, but it was covered the points we were trying to cover.
Yeah, and I think the vagueness kind of helped me think that, okay, maybe this could be enough. Like
we were looking for someone relatively
It's that
entry level.
open invitation.
Yeah.
I think seeing that ad or like applying for that ad when you guys put it out was almost a point of, okay, even if I had to make that career change, there are jobs out there that I could aspire to, like
These things exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I didn't know anything about the industry back then. And it's interesting that you tell me that point of view now, that like, because I remember the first time I came and had that chat or interview. I don't know what to really call it.
We call it it's an interview. But
Yeah. It didn't feel like one. In the sense that I think it was you two, and we were in the old building. We were just having a chat by the couch, and it felt very relaxed. And it was the first time I was talking to like-minded people. Like you guys you brought up Peter McKinnon and you brought up Mario Pei. I'm like, oh, I can talk to other people about this stuff.
Wow, more than one person watches these channels.
Yeah.
That explains the 5 million subscribers. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also like nobody in my circle.
Understand. Yeah.
Nobody in my circle were talk about it. So it was like a outlet.
Yeah.
When I came to interview, it was the last day or so, and you had already interviewed the editors you ended up with, and I think we had left it at the saying that, okay, we'll get in touch next week, and we'll let you know how you go.
Yep.
And I think I was interviewing for something else at that time, which was more of a job along the same lines of what I was doing before.
Yeah.
And I heard back from that job, and they were okay for me to proceed, but I really wanted this one.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think I randomly gave you a call on a Monday.
You did call me. Yeah.
Yeah. What were your thoughts, like randomly getting a call from this guy you interviewed on a Friday?
Keen, not in a bad way. So provide some clarity around the whole situation. We interviewed about 10 or 12 people off memory over a few days, and our interviews, as you say, are very different. We're looking for people we want to work with. Skills will come. Some people have the skills, some people are developing, but it's attitudes, it's those things that are much more important, because if you can build a really good culture, people get better at the skills side of things. But if you have a bunch of hotshots, but the culture's horrible, no one wants to go to work, and then you're in a field you love doing a job you hate, which is no better. And so we'll sit down for an hour and just chat and talk. And then we'll cover some technical stuff, and we'll ask those questions that we need to ask to make sure people are somewhat competent. And in those times, we found some fantastic people, 2 of which are here now as well. And we found you as well. Not to say you're not fantastic. That's not my intention. You were the last interview actually for the day. And by this point, we'd sort of narrowed down the guys we were thinking. And there was 3 of them. And then you came along, and now there was 4 of them ish.
Right.
And we knew, and you admitted it, and it was, it was not, it was clear that you were very fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you said, 8 months, 10 months or so you've been doing it. Yeah. Super, super passionate, very, very fresh. And I think we said to you that, hey, look, if it doesn't go anywhere, you have an open invite to come to any of the shoots we do, or just to hang out, to be involved, if that's going to help you. The attitudes and all those other skills were on point. And when you rang me, we hadn't 100% locked it down what we were going to do. We were pretty close. We weren't 100%, and because I didn't want to make a call without Josh and I being on the same page, that's when I sort of bumped you a little bit. And then you said, I've got an offer for a full-time job, and I knew we couldn't put on someone full-time that was very low in experience, because that wouldn't actually resolve some of we'd spend all the time training
Mm.
and also then doing the work.
True.
And we needed a bunch of the work taken off of Josh so he could then develop, and some training involved and bits and pieces, but it wouldn't have resolved that problem at that point, which is why we were hiring. And so that's when you said, I've got this full-time offer, like, take it. I think I said to you, take it, because we couldn't do that. If that's what you need, go take it.
Yeah, well, there's that realistic thing of you want to follow your dream, but there is a point where like you still need to put food on the table, you still need to pay bills, and if that dream comes a little later, like at least you've survived. You need things to survive. It helps.
Like gin. I think I might have said to you, like, work on the skills because you've got everything else down packed. Work on the skills. If that was a bit further along the lines, it's fine. And then, you hung out with us a few times.
Yes. I think that was really cool of you guys to offer that from the first place. Like, it opened a place where I could kind of intern in a way.
Yeah,
and come in
in a very low key way. That was I guess the idea is if you wanted to build your experience, and there was an element of like, hey, if you're actually serious about getting better, the door's open.
Yeah,
and it's up to you. We're not going to harass you about coming in. We'll get when some stuff's on that's a bit more interesting, but we won't harass you. We're also not going to pay you, but the door is open there, and you step through, which backs up what we thought about from an attitude point of view.
So when you guys did offer those invites to come in, I love seeing the content that was coming out of your channels at that point, because I think it kind of took it speed ramped as well. So I got an idea of who I didn't know the names back then, but what Sam and Remy and like Josh as well were putting out. So the level I kind of probably needed to reach, at least to be accepting this as a career professionally, which helped me do a lot on the back end.
Yes.
So
we saw your content grow because we were following on Insta and TikTok and stuff, and started seeing yours. Send you a couple of messages and bits and pieces, and saw your stuff and like, oh, this guy's like, there's a real serious.
It's all ramping up.
Yeah, absolutely. And to cut a 12-month story short, you then were in a position where you're like, I'm going to go balls deep in this.
Yeah.
And I think you told us, or you sort of alluded to it, and we're like, we're not really in a position to hire someone now, but we will. Yeah. And we came in, we had a chat, and we worked out a couple of days would work for you, a couple of days worked for us.
Well, that was on one of those times, just coming along to see what we were doing and hang out.
Exactly, yeah.
That was one. I think we'd planned to do a gin shoot, and then that week had just been hectic. And we got to that Friday, and you rocked up, and we went, "Oh yeah, we said we were going to do that." And we ended up just sitting around, chilling out, and having a chat. Yeah. And you mentioned something, and I was like, "Oh, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation."
Again, it felt like I was just hanging out with like-minded, open people. It was, and I first time met Remy and Sam and you in the same context. And so we spoke about video editing a lot of, again, common ground. So it never felt like an odd chore to do. Yeah. It didn't feel like a chore to do. It just, it was fun.
Absolutely. And so you've been on board for a few months, and how has things gone? Because obviously you watch these videos on YouTube and you're like, it'd be great storytelling and doing this and making amazing. And then you realize that a huge amount of this industry is advertising. Yeah, bluntly put, it is some form of advertising and marketing, and there's storytelling as well, which rolls into that. But unlike when you just go up to Hahndorf on a day off, obviously on a public holiday, and make your videos, you got no time frame, you got no agenda, you just go and do your thing. Whereas here, you got to get this video that you're working on at the moment. It's due, 2 days, and you had to get it to a point you could hand it over for someone else to finish it up in the next couple of days. How does that take away from her? How does it make you feel? How does it affect you?
I think the last two and a half months here now, one thing has become very clear is structure is very important. It's not just a creative process. It's a creative process with a direction in it. Yep. It can't just be like, okay, every new turn I'll make a twist, or I'll take my time with this middle sequence and stretch it out and come up with a better ending. Or I can't spend days on one video. Yeah. Basically, because we have clients to put content out for. We have, and I can see this on Josh's timeline, and I think he has Monday open right now with 1,000 videos just lined up for the next few months. So if all of them need to be out at a certain point, there needs to be structure. So I think that has been the biggest learning over here of how to structure the smallest things, folder structure, structure of like I learned something this morning is don't just leave everything in the downloads folder.
Yes.
Put it on the NAS. Everybody needs access to this. There's other people depending on this video and you might not be in tomorrow because someone else needs to jump in. Yeah. And making sure you don't lose the sight of the creativity as well, because I think that is very near and dear as well.
Yes.
But getting a combination of those two has been, I think that's what I'm striving to achieve. And I'm trying to learn this from all three of them over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been good so far, and I hope I'm doing all right.
Have you found that it pushes you into what creative decisions are more important than others?
Yes.
Being on that deadline?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, there's no time for, okay, let's play around with this concept. It's like, okay, choose, this is how I want to make the audience feel in this given moment, and let's make, in the climax of the moment, and let's direct that whole video in that direction. That has to be the way that we had. It can't be like, oh, I want to make this a silly video all of a sudden now. No, I don't. I want them to chuckle in like a very dramatic sequence or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess you ask fewer questions when you know the direction.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. It's a good way to put it. I think it's interesting to see how creative people, how things change and tweak when you put a dollar value next to every idea. And so, we can go down that path and do that. But this now has gone from a $300 video to a $1,000 video, and we've got a budget of $200.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's not good.
No, that's right. And so it's very interesting to see, Josh. I don't know when you I started telling you how much these videos were costing to make.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh wow, that video.
Yeah,
you get this
it's very different.
creative idea, and you're like, oh, let's go down that. I'm like, yeah, but that's $500. We don't have that. And yeah, I guess. Well, can we still get to the same endpoint? Maybe not as cool, but can we still get there comfortably? Yes, we can. Yeah, and you actually in some ways get more creative in streamlining the result.
Even though you're restrained in that space, I don't think it holds the two of you from thinking of bizarre ideas. I mean, like you came in yesterday morning with three amazing ideas.
It's amazing might be very generous. I appreciate it, but I think amazing is the incorrect. What would you call them, Josh?
Just about normal. About normal for what we do.
Ideas. Ideas to work on. I think constraints are an interesting thing from the creative things. Like if you have no constraints, so often you just end up not doing a whole lot. Sometimes, like they're the projects you don't finish. Yep. Right. Whereas if you've got constraints, be them budgetary or timing or like everything has to be done within this room or we can't hire any gear or whatever it might be, those constraints actually start making you more creative because you have to find ways around problems within those constraints. I actually think that constraints are actually part of the artistic process.
100%. I very much agree because a story is a solution to a problem. Right? Like any story that they talk about is you have a conflict, you have to resolve it, you come to the end. So if you're putting constraints the entire time, you have to come up with a solution. I'm here 2 days a week, for example. And if Josh tells me these are the videos I needed to work on, and in my head from the beginning till the end, I want to get those videos out.
Yep. And
I got to analyze the pace of it. I need to think about how much time you need to invest in per video and all of that. So yeah, I definitely agree that constraints is probably a necessary evil to just make you a little more creative.
Yeah, I think that's good. One of your big strengths that you talked on, and we've certainly identified very early on, is that storytelling is one of your passions. The editing. Tell me if I'm wrong, but the editing and the videography and all that sort of is the mechanism for the storytelling. The storytelling is actually where you're most passionate about. Yeah. Would that be fair?
Oh, that'd be super fair. Yeah. And again, that's one of the things I've only come to a firm conclusion after joining here. The gear is amazing. There's technology available now that I wouldn't even understand. Like I can't even comprehend sometimes what Sam and Josh are talking about. I'm like, okay, wow, you mean good looking footage, right? Yeah. I think for storytelling is still king. This is probably where the whole Casey's influence comes in. He mentioned story is king, and I couldn't unsee it from there.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see. We've certainly utilized that strength that you bring to the team in videos, and rather than just being like we'll want to talk about this, sit down with you and actually analyze it from a story perspective. Are we hitting the points that we need to for a story? And those videos, one, I think they're better videos, and two, they're so much easier to make because you've got so much more direction in how you're doing it. Yeah, and even giving you like this latest hero project you've been working on, you've just been dumped a whole stack of footage of an event that happened. It's a more documentary, but you've been able to pull out the story that happened. Now there's a fairly linear story. It's a capture the flag type nerf battle where here's the parameter, here's the setup. This is the two teams, this is the rules, this is et cetera, and then everything plays out and here's the resolution, this team won.
Yes.
Right? So there's a very basic story going on there, but you've been able to actually tell that story in the multiple rounds that played out through this video, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
And so...
Sorry.
I'm just going to ignore that. That's a new sound.
That's a new sound.
It's not even
Never
your
heard
phone.
that one before.
Okay. So speaking of storytelling, and one of the little segments we like to play here is like, if this person or this company worked with us, what would we do? So we're going to bring you into this. Now I know that you seem to really enjoy travel.
Yep.
And a lot of your personal vlogs and videos and stuff are going places and doing things.
Yep.
So I thought, and of course, if you're an international gentleman, and so I thought it'd be interesting to choose a small town just outside of Adelaide. So we're talking within 100 kilometres, So a nice day trip, comfortable day trip. How would you get international guests to your small town?
Nice.
Yeah. So
Yep.
That's the premise. So you're the I don't know if you're the mayor of the town. You're a friend of the mayor, and they've come to you for some help. Come to us for some help of how they can boost, their reputation in the town, with particularly international guests, but local as well. But international is the one that I'd be interested. This is very niche, but I thought it suited because I know you get around to a lot of small towns.
Yeah,
and I'm curious as to what attracts you to them, and how would you advise them on doing that better? So Josh, if we'll kick off with you, not to throw Rahul straight under it.
I think your first step is identifying what makes your town special.
Okay.
What are the things
Should we
that you're
choose a
coming to
town?
this? I think we should choose a town.
Rahul, you've been to a bunch in recent times. Let's just choose one. What was one of your favourites that you think would be a good setup for this?
I'm gonna just say Arran Bay that's the name that comes to my head right now.
Arran Bay.
Arran Bay.
Never heard of it.
Where is Arran Bay?
It's tiny. Okay,
Wow. Okay, we've gone very.
What is
niche.
what is the town of Arran Bay like? What's around it?
It's okay. It's a coastal town.
Okay.
It's got one jetty. It's a very small town.
Where's it near?
It's on the way to Port Lincoln.
On the way to Port Lincoln.
How do I spell that?
Right.
Give me one sec. Arran Bay? Am I naming it right?
Arran
I
Bay.
don't think so.
I'll be funny though.
I've looked it up and it's come up with Athens International Airport.
That's
so
not it.
I don't
Yes.
think that's it.
Is it before or after Port Lincoln?
It's before.
Before.
Arno Bay?
Wow.
Is it Arno?
Arno Bay.
Arno Bay.
It would be Arno Bay.
It must be
Oh.
Arno Bay. Yeah, it's Arno Bay. It's close enough. Come on. I'm not from around here. Let me play my cart.
Arno Bay is not really a town though.
What would you call Arno Bay?
I would call Arno
I'd
Bay.
call it a bay without looking it up.
Yeah.
Why, Rusty? What made you
Pretty
call
sure
that?
that's just a jetty, a servo, and a small shop.
No, I disagree with you, Josh. There is a town.
No?
There is a yacht club in this little town. There is
Sweet.
a sunset drive. There is a caravan park. There's a public toilet. There's a hotel. There's a jetty cafe. And this is all like on the beach, on the bay here.
Yep.
That's a gorgeous little bay, actually. And then there's a little town, which is about 12 blocks. And it has cabins, cottages, transport company, St. John's Ambulance Volunteers.
That's good to know.
Recycling depot. There is some sort of industry there, I'd say silo.
So how far is Arno Bay from Adelaide?
Probably further than what we were talking about. It's over 2 hours away.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But let's move it. let's move it to
moved.
70 k's away.
Okay.
So we're under an hour drive to get to Arno Bay. So, Josh, Arno Bay, it's your job to put them on the world stage, mate. What are you going to do?
Yeah. I guess that's thrown me because I've also travelled and I've always just driven past it. I've stopped in once and gone, yeah, no, this isn't the place for me, and just moved on to Port Lincoln.
Yep.
That's why the mayor got in touch with you.
That's exactly right.
Exactly right.
Everyone's doing that. So what would change your behaviour? Rahul, you've been there before.
Yes.
So tell us some of the highlights about it and what would you focus on?
Okay, so I can kind of just go off my experience. We kept it as a stopover destination.
Mm-hmm.
So something that's good enough to rest at and visit one particular or two attractions perhaps.
Yep.
Have some coffee, food, and then make your way to the bigger place. So knowing what your strength is and where you lie comparative to the people around you, I guess, or the places around you, sorry.
Yep.
Knowing that you fall in Eyre Peninsula, but Port Lincoln's just a few hours drive away. So playing to that would be very important.
Yep, that would be good. So how does that play out in some form of marketing or social media or something along those lines? I've got an idea because I know you guys are struggling a little bit at the moment. This
Go
is
for
quite
gold.
a niche one. All right. So I would work with the cafe, the local cafe, and the hotel. It looked like there was only a pub and a cafe. And my goal would be to create a product that is the reason you stop in Arno Bay overnight. I'm with you. I think the destination is it's not the destination, it's on the way to somewhere, right? Or it's the quick little day trip out for a night from Adelaide, right? Whether it's 70 Ks or 200 Ks, depends on where we've moved it to. But it's the overnight, the one nighter type thing, right? You're not going to go hang out in Arno Bay for a week, right? Unless you're trying to get away from everything. But if you're traveling,
Or unless you're catching fish, because it's a fishing town.
It is a fishing town. So this is where the product I'm thinking of would be great. Seafood sauce.
Oh yeah.
You make a signature seafood sauce that is like on the main dish at the hotel and also on the main dish at the cafe. They're not necessarily competing with each other. They're highlighting this product which is produced locally, and if you can, so the media program I would build around is around this sauce. I'd actually promote the product to promote the town. And so that your reason for choosing Arno Bay rather than 3 or 4 other places that are within the 20 minutes of there is because you have to go there to the cafe and get some of this sauce. And they do the garlic prawns, or they do whatever it is. And so you've got food you can talk about, and that's the big thing. And of course, there's fishing. It's all fresh. It's local. It's caught close by. It's all that sort of gear. You can have a go yourself but you've got to get there because of this sauce.
Yeah.
Of course, you can pick up some bottles, and maybe they actually can sell that sort of thing. But I think focusing it around a product as to be the reason, and this is not unheard of. There are places you go to try specific products. I mean, one of the most famous ones is Guinness.
Yep.
Like we can all go down to a local pub and go to Guinness, but we all want to go to Ireland and go to the Guinness factory. And Josh doesn't drink beer at all and would still go still have a Guinness. And because you learn to pour, and it's the experience built around the product. Now, that's a huge product, right? But the place where Guinness is not anything particularly fancy, but we're going to go there, right? And there's, you could talk about Ferrari, going to Ferrari because of the product. Now, you're going to go stay in Maranello, or is that where their track is?
No, pretty sure they're Maranello.
Right, so that's a reason. Why else are you going to Maranello? No reason.
Ferrari, that's it.
To see a product. Now, these are top-end examples.
Yep.
And Arno Bay is probably not, starting to build Bugattis or something. But if all you're trying to do is you're trying to compete against the other 3 or 4 towns around you, and it looks like a nice town, it's a nice beach and all that sort of gear. So I think I would look down the product path and work with the local hospitality trade and try and build something local around that reason.
Yeah. So promote their local restaurants and hospitality industry, so people have a point of not contact, point of visit.
Point of visit.
Yeah.
But you Arno Bay becomes known because of the seafood sauce, the signature seafood sauce they have there.
Yep. See, I like the idea behind that as well, because if you have that seafood sauce as just a sauce on its own, that's then getting in those people that are coming. You're coming to fish, you're coming to all that stuff, and it's like, nah, I can't leave without without
you've gotta-
going and getting that sauce to have with the fish that I caught. Or you're driving through to Port Lincoln and you go, nah, I want that sauce. I've got to stop in there.
Yeah, we're gonna have lunch at Arno Bay because we've got to get some of that sauce. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that sauce all over TikTok. I've seen like that. This is what I'm. Your marketing for the town is actually marketing a product that represents the town, and that's yeah, I guess that's my angle.
My second prong to that would also be the history, because there's been my quick read on the town.
Yep.
There's been stuff happening there since the 1800s. There's been a lot of mining stuff. There's a lot of stuff produced and sent out of there.
Yep.
There's diving into that. Hey, come and look at these key things that we've got in the area, because that's a big thing for sort of the grey nomads and all that travel the country all the way around. Of I really like. I want to go check that out. Sort of pushing that out there for like, hey, we used to do some stuff back in the day. We've still got all these relics sitting there. You can come check this out. You can check this out. You can check this out.
So it's keeping to the DNA of the place and kind of highlighting that and running off of that.
Yeah, because
it's basically a brand in a way.
It's something that big towns do really well. Is they have their key things that they were known for, and while you're there, you go and check them out.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm gonna build on mine a little bit while you think of yours, Rahul. Okay. Is that you would make sure that sauce is in Port Lincoln. If we're leaving it where it is, a couple hundred k's away, you would make sure that sauce was being served in the pubs and stuff at Port Lincoln.
Yeah.
Because people have missed Arno Bay on the way through. Get to Port Lincoln, they go to the pub, and they're like, and the signature Arno Bay sauce. And they ask, what's, this sauce is really good. And the waiter's like, they're if you're heading back to Adelaide, go drop in and get some bottles. Like, you've got this additional sort of, if you missed it on the way over, you'll catch it on the way back.
Yeah.
And it could even be taglines along those lines. But if you have your product into those hotels that people are going to be eating at when they get to that, what is their destination, they're going to stop past because they're going to be coming through, stop past in there. So if you missed them, if you weren't aware of them, it's a second opportunity to market to these people who are going to have to drive past.
Yeah. I would also kind of lean on the Airbnb aspect of it. If you have a lot of people driving from Adelaide or from wherever to another destination, and that's going to be a stopover for sure, and they're going to check out this sauce. Yeah. Having a rest for a day and then traveling to your main destination is not a bad idea as well. So maybe getting in touch with a lot more people around who are open to renting out their houses. There's a lot of people who own property in smaller towns and only visit them every now and then for their own holiday. So leaning into that and asking them to open it to Airbnbs perhaps.
So how do you bring that out to the market? Because obviously Airbnb is really common, but we're looking for ways that we can do. And so perhaps and I haven't seen this, as a town, you do the real estate-y type tour of the house, or not just on Airbnb, but you're like, hey, you can check out this house, in our town on the Arno Bay TikTok account, and you're actually breaking down all the different accommodation. So you're going through short videos of the actual Airbnbs that you're talking about, rather than just being like, hey, if you need a place to stay, like you can look up Airbnbs and you'll find us. But people won't. They want to see a house, but I want to stay there. Look at that view.
Yeah. That is very popular on TikTok as well. Of you follow travel pages, and there's the places that you see, and you go, I want to stop. Like, I want to stay at this place, creating that demand for it. Of you're right on the beachfront, the jetty's literally right there. It's a 2-minute walk for you, and you go, yeah, no, I'm in. Like, I'm going to Port Lincoln and I'm staying here for a night or two.
We're staying. So I follow a lady in Vegas who because we go to Vegas every year for a conference, and we always check on her TikTok to see which hotels are worth booking, which ones aren't. And so I save a lot. I've got a whole stack to show you. Sent you a few, Josh. But today I saw one about a pinball museum that we're going to when we're there.
Yes.
And so you really like this person I'm following there, but I'm learning so much about. And I've been to Vegas 4 times. This time around, or actually last time because I was following her at this point, I saw so much more of Vegas because I knew where to go and I made the most of it. I have to go there for work anyway. May as well actually enjoy it a lot more and get to know the places. So
that's also an aspect that you can tap into other creators that are traveling around and people that create this kind of content. So it's it's a little bit of less of a burden for you because you don't have to create it, but you go, hey, come and stay here. You create it, we'll share it with you and all that, and you're tapping into a market that's already there.
Mm.
You've already got the followers. You're not having to grow. You just cool. Here you go. Help us grow.
So Airbnb tours, secret sauce, and the history of the place is our three sort of angles that we're going to suggest for Arno Bay.
I think that could be the title of this podcast.
My extra question on top of that, though,
is here we go.
For someone that is wanting to do it, how do you practically implement some of those things? Like, what's your practical steps to getting that content out?
We talked about the Airbnb one, making videos,
tapping into
that sort of thing. I guess from a product point of view, I mean, there's so many options with that, and so I referred to it being all over TikTok because that is the place that you can easily get organic at the moment.
Yep.
And then also from the social media showing you could spend time in the restaurants and stuff, showing the dishes that are being served to create that desire through photos, through videos, sort of really almost internally for the town, putting their own travel vlog in one location up. Was probably the angle I'd be looking at it. Because what about history?
History? Well, it's more along the same lines, I guess.
What a cop-out answer.
I know, it is a cop-out.
Running off the back of my brilliance. Well done.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, all right. Very good. Very good. Well, thanks for taking part in that experiment, Rahul. It's always an interesting thing. And where are you off to next? Where's your next journey? Or do you not decide that early? You just go.
We kind of wing it now. Just kidding. We've got the in-laws in town now, so we've been exploring Adelaide locally. So showing them all the hiking spots, Hundorf.
Only on public holidays.
Only on public holidays.
Yeah.
But I think the goal is to take them to Kangaroo Island because I haven't been there myself as well.
Okay.
So it could be a collaborative and everybody kind of enjoys a new view.
Good idea.
Yeah, Kangaroo Island is beautiful.
Good idea. All right. Well, enjoy your trip to KI whenever it happens.
You guys enjoy your trip to America.
Oh, yeah. That's what we're doing. Yeah.
Well, yes, we'll
Probably
do.
by the time this has gone out, we've been back.
We'll have been back.
So how was the trip?
It was great.
It was
busy.
You look very tired.
I am very tired. I haven't slept for weeks.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. And we will catch you guys in the next episode.